Season 5, Episode 49 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bit Stealers. I am Jonathan Litzkett, joined, as always, by Sam Fetterman. To my right, Sam, we've done a podcast in a while.
Yeah, Jonathan, I think we got to start doing more.
It's been a weird lull for us. I went to Duke earlier this week. Sam has obviously been driving around with like a chicken with his head cut off, going to games.
Hey,
Max doubleheader today.
Respect me driving.
Yeah, we're not promoting bad driving habits on this show, but Sam has been on the grind before he heads back to school.
Yeah, I'm in Boston tomorrow.
What are you seeing there?
You'll ask me later in the show.
Yeah, all right. But like we said, haven't done a show in a little while, so gonna do a bunch of check-ins, recaps, also talk about a little what's going on this weekend, just kind of see what's going on around college basketball. And why don't we start with none other than what has been by far the best conference in college basketball this year, the SEC. I'd say there were a bunch of marquee games this past week, but there are a bunch of marquee games every week in the SEC. This just felt a little heightened because it was really the first week of conference play, and we really got going. So I want to start with Kentucky, who opened last Saturday with a massive home win over Florida. Final score 106-100. Wildcat victory, handing Gators their first loss. So Kentucky wins that one, but then they go on the road and lose to Georgia earlier this week. Sam, thoughts on the Wildcats, thoughts on those two games, thoughts on Kentucky outlook overall at the moment?
I thought the Kentucky-Florida game was maybe the best quality of basketball offensively that I've seen in college basketball in years.
Mm-hmm. I called it a set clipping game last week when we previewed it, and it definitely was that. Those are two great.
It was not just a set clipping game; it was a shot making clinic. 1.47 points per possession for Kentucky, 1.39 points per possession for Florida. How many times can you score 1.39 points per possession? How many times can you go 81% inside the arc, make 12 threes and 22 free throws, and lose? 15 offensive rebounds, only turned it over 9 times. And Kentucky just hit 3 after 3 after 3 in that second half. Kobe Brea was unbelievable. Kobe Brea has been unbelievable this year. That is I am confident in calling Kobe Brea the best shooter in college basketball, Jonathan.
Yeah, no, I think everybody should be. And really, I think the story with Kentucky right now, just overall in the season, is defense. They're obviously elite offense. They move the ball, they shoot. Mark Pope did a great job putting together that system. But when you take a bunch of kids from the portal and throw them together on one team, you're not going to fix. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to fix every problem. It can work, but you're not going to be a flawless team. And I think the last couple weeks of Kentucky basketball have showed that. Obviously, they didn't play great defense against Florida. They gave up 100 points. I didn't think they played great defense against Georgia on the road in a 13-point loss. They didn't play great D against Ohio State. They're going to do enough to win plenty of games to get themselves a pretty favorable seed in the NCAA tournament. But it shouldn't be ignored that this is just the beginning for Mark Pope, and he is going to have teams that are better than this.
I'm not sure Kentucky's a national championship contender.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But I think they're a Final Four contender.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
I think they can win 4 games. 6 is pushing it.
Yeah, we've seen teams with elite offenses just shoot their way to a Final Four. We saw it with Alabama last year. We saw it with Miami a couple years ago. This team, it feels like a lot of the same. They don't play super great defense, but they play super great offense.
And then you get a team like Georgia that is just maybe the most athletic front court in the country, and they can just turn anybody's water off inside. Kentucky was like 45% inside the arc in this game. and they couldn't get their looks from the outside. They couldn't get they were not great on the glass. They turned it over more than they usually do. I thought that was what Georgia that was Georgia basketball. That was what Mike White wanted to do with this team. They are long, they are freak athletic. I mean, you can throw out a lineup of like Deshane Montgomery, Silas Demery, um, Blue Kane, Asa Newell, RJ Godfrey, or you can have Absent or Cyril, or you could, if you really, they don't do this, but like Dylan James can go out there in certain spots, and like if they really wanted to play really big, I don't think I don't think they could not get away with playing like three of their front court guys on the floor at once. If like LeFew, if the back if LeFew is one of the backcourt guys for shooting purposes, it's like you went LeFew and Demery, and then like Godfrey, Newell, and Abson, or Godfrey, Newell, and Cyril. I think they could get a couple minutes a game out of that and just like turn everybody's water off. And like, I'm not saying they should do it. I'm just saying like the fact of the matter with this Georgia team is they're 20th in the country defensively. I think they're going to end up higher than that by the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They held Mississippi to 0.97 points per possession, and that was honestly not. And Mississippi's a good offensive team that was on the road. Then they hold Kentucky to 0.92 points per possession. Kentucky's a great offensive team. I came out of this week impressed with Georgia. I know that they lost that game to Mississippi. I know that they are going to have games where they struggle offensively. But I think Georgia is an NCAA tournament team, and that's a big, big marquee win over Kentucky. They now have two marquee wins, one against Kentucky and one against St. John's.
Yeah, I think on the Mississippi game, it's more of just Mississippi has what few others do in terms of playing against Georgia. They can kind of match the athleticism. Not a lot of teams can do that in the front court specifically with Georgia, and that's how you hold the Bulldogs to just 51 points. I agree with you, Sam. I think Georgia was impressive this week overall. I've had Georgia in the preseason as my 37th ranked team. They're 39th on KenPom right now. So
I think they're better than that.
Yeah, I would say so as well. But I do listen, they're winning with defense. I feel you and I did a very good job with our evaluation of this team. We've had our quarrels with Mike White and whatnot, but I feel like you and I did a very fair and honest evaluation of what he brought in this year, and credit to him for doing that.
Extreme credit goes his way. I was very impressed with the way that they did that. And then back to Kentucky, because they have a big, big one tomorrow against 14-1 Mississippi State team that hasn't had a big challenge yet in the SEC. This is Mississippi State's first big SEC challenge, and it's going to be at the Hump. Mississippi State is, I think, a team that not enough people are talking about as, hey, like, maybe they're just better than we think. Maybe they're better than any of us think they are. And they just haven't had the chances to prove it yet. I would not be completely surprised if Mississippi State at some point this season found their way onto that national championship contender tier.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with you on that one. They have guards that can play, obviously, right? Hubbard, Harris. I was making the joke to you last week that they just have like Kanye Clary in reserve. But this is a team that is 14-1 at the moment. Only loss is a neutral court loss to Butler, which no offense to a friend of the program, Michael DeRosa, but that loss for Miss State is looking just worse by the minute. But yeah, they're rolling. Like they played a decent non-con schedule, not a superb one, but not a bad enough one to knock them in terms of
Like,
NCAA tournament
their
seeding.
two biggest games. They beat Pitt by 33, and they beat Memphis at Memphis by 13.
Yeah. They've played up to competition for sure this year. You had an easier start
They
to
played
SEC
above
play.
competition.
Huh?
They played above competition.
Yeah, that's totally what I meant. Yeah, I mean, I think Miss State beats Kentucky tomorrow. I think that's a more complete basketball team in Starkville. Of course, Jans is one heck of a coach, and they really have had things figured out from the get go. And there's just not many weaknesses that you can point to with this team right now. Unfortunately, in terms of any like SEC gold, you only play Auburn once. It's at Auburn, home and home with Bama. You do only play Florida once, and it's at home, which benefits you. But you have to go to Tennessee, so it's going to be tough in terms of winning the league. But this is a team projecting as like maybe a three seed, possibly even a 2 with the way they've been playing.
Jonathan, I'll take you back to Florida because they responded about as well as anybody could imagine. And I think that this is going to be emblematic of what the SEC is like. I think there's too many good teams, too many elite teams in this league and too many great coaches for teams to get hung up on one game. I think that we're going to see a lot of times a team either gets blown out or blows a team out, and then 2 days later the opposite happens, or like Florida takes a loss in a close game, goes home and blows somebody out. Now they go to Arkansas. When I said elite teams and well-coached teams, I did not mean Arkansas. But Arkansas is really talented. That game's going to have a big crowd because Arkansas always has a big crowd. Like, would you be at all surprised if Arkansas was able to come out with like a 1 or 2 point win in that game?
No, not at all.
Road wins are going to be extremely difficult to come by in the SEC. Only 6 of the 16 games have been won by the road team so far. And I think the one thing that kind of has surprised me is that like there's only been one game decided by one possession or in overtime. I believe that was Oklahoma, Texas A&M.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think we're gonna have a lot more of those going forward. I think we're gonna have a lot more games decided on the last possession of the SEC than we have so far.
Yeah, I think it's just right now all these teams are getting used to playing this type of competition night in and night out, and not to say that this league didn't challenge itself in non-con because they so obviously did. Auburn played a ridiculous non-conference schedule, as well as some of the other teams. But, I think if you ask Todd Golden, you take a 6-point loss at Kentucky, and then you go beat Tennessee by 30 at home, I think he'll take those results 10 times out of 10. I think that game for Florida helped them way more than it hurt Tennessee because I don't think that there are many smart people that think less of Tennessee after that game. Florida, Lanier had a tough night. It's going to happen. Tennessee's going to win a lot of games in this league. They're a really good program built on a really strong foundation and identity. But for Florida to respond in the way they did, in the fashion that they did against who they did, says a lot more, I think, about who this Florida team is than it does what this Tennessee team is.
You summed it up there really well.
Thank you. Let's get
Jonathan, Auburn is back to number 1 in KenPom.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So we were all really excited in Durham on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
Yeah, because while we're sitting there watching the game, Arizona is winning comfortably at West Virginia. It's like not only is Duke winning in blowout fashion going to help, but Arizona winning at West Virginia and the way they did is going to help a lot too. Well, the Arizona win was kind of neutralized because Kentucky got beat pretty handily at Georgia. And then SMU, SMU got pummeled. So,
SMU, by the way, You can kiss those NCAA tournament hopes goodbye.
Yeah.
I know that's a crazy thing to say about a power conference team that's 11-4, but like, you do not have Duke or North Carolina. Like, your next chance to really move the needle and get your next chance to get a quadrant 1 win is in February.
And it's also just like, you know, I don't want to go all like casual here, but like SMU completely fails the when you know test. Like when you
Look at their coaches. When you know, you know.
You watch a team, you know they're good. SMU completely fails that.
SMU has 2 quad 1 opportunities for the rest of the season, Jonathan. Pitt and at Florida State.
Is the Pitt one on the road? Or
is at home?
Okay. How close is Pitt to being out of that quad 1 range?
It's 22, but they were like 18 2 days ago.
It was 13 before they played Duke, I think. Yeah, it's there are not many opportunities in the ACC, and you know,
it's the opposite of the SEC. Let's go back to Duke and kind of expand on that. Cooper Flagg had his moment.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it 30 feet away.
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
It was so fun. It was so kind of funny because, like,
funny. That's the first word.
Funny's not the right word here. It like the entire play caught everyone so off guard because Duke picked up like two fouls on the possession before. One of them was really controversial, and then Cooper just got really, really mad and decided that, like, yeah, we're done with this.
We're done here.
And so, like, he does a great job poking the ball away with his hand deflecting it. I cannot believe that people's reaction to that was, oh, he double dribbled. Which
I cannot believe that people's reaction to that was, oh, Cohen Carr can do that.
That entire interaction was so funny, but it was like, first of all, I don't know if like anyone noticed this, but like after that happened, Guillermo Diaz-Graham played like very limited minutes the rest of the game. And to be totally fair, I wouldn't want to come back into the game after that happened to me either.
I think I would just like go back to Spain permanently, like turn into Bo Cruz, be a hustler on the street.
Yeah, he pokes it away. He does a great job.
Guillermo Diaz-Graham is absolutely going to be the next Bo Cruz in the next movie.
That's awesome.
What was that movie called?
Hustle?
Was it called Hustle?
I feel like it was.
It was called Hustle.
I've seen the movie. I've also seen it like 3 additional times on TikTok.
Guillermo Diaz-Graham, Hustle 2 star.
But yeah, I mean, it was just insane. Like, I think I was head tapping for like 30 seconds after it happened. Like,
you head tapped the whole shot clock.
It was one of those rare moments that like you have to like. It felt like they stopped the game because of it, like momentarily. Like there was a dunk. You know the backdoor lob play that Bill Self would run for Abaji during like their title run.
Yeah,
I was at the Big 12 semis that year, and Abaji had a dunk on that play to kind of like break that game open, and it felt like the refs had to just like stop the game for a sec and calm it down because everyone was going so nuts. That's what that dunk felt like. It was just.
I'm not sure if I said it last week, but
Diaz-Graham is 7 foot with like 7 feet 7'1" with like a pretty decent wingspan.
I'm not sure if I said it last week, but I believed it last week that Dylan Harper was the front runner for National Freshman of the Year.
The front runner for National Freshman of the Year.
I don't believe that anymore.
No, I mean,
and that's not even because of like
Harper. He's the Frankie Vision Freshman of the Year.
That's not even a good. Honestly, I think Ace Bailey's the Frankie Vision freshman of the
He
year.
is. He's also he's the Jonathan Litzkin freshman chucker of the year. I'll tell you that much.
Cooper Flagg is the national freshman of the year. Just dominant this week. 24-11, 19-10. Best player on the floor, efficient, effective. He's up to 46% from the field, 31% from three, 78% from the line, 17.5, 8.5, 3.7, almost 3 stocks. He's been arguably the best player in college basketball over the last month.
Yeah, I saw something from Matthew Winnick the other day that like Cooper Flagg is having the 5th best year like ever in like the Ken Pom era.
Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't think I believe that. Like, I don't buy that.
I'm not saying I'd buy it either, but he's 5th according to Ken Pom, and Janai Broom's 4th. But don't worry, guys. I'm sure Cohen Carr has some things to say about that.
Yes. I wonder how mad Michigan State fans would be if I just posted like Mr. Dean's dunk remix and said, "This guy is better than Cohen Carr," and you've never heard of him.
Did you see my tweet the other day about it?
No, what did you say?
I said Michigan State fans used to care.
Yes,
By the way, I want to preface this by saying that like I'm all in on this Michigan State team and have said for the last month that they were the best team in the Big Ten. But I tweeted and said Michigan State fans used to care about if their teams were better than Duke. Now all they care about is having better dunkers than Duke.
You know what? I'm gonna pull up Mr. Dean's dunks and just like share my screen because I feel like we need to see this because Cohen Carr does not have a dunk mix like this.
Yeah, this is a freshman at USC Upstate, by the way, for those of you that do not know.
Shoot, hold on.
And yes, his name is Mr. Dean. Sam is not just calling him by like a title here.
No, yeah. If you'll give me a sec, I've just got to pull.
Yeah, no, for sure. By the way, in terms of Duke as a team,
by the way,
Duke has already played. Duke, by the way, done with Pitt, done with Louisville.
Finds Johnson, open 3, no. Whoa! Put back.
Go full screen. There you go.
Dean
Can Cohen Carr do this?
Open 3, no. Whoa! Put back.
Not with his right hand, he can't. Yeah, that kid's ridiculous. They're a really good player on a not so great team.
By the way, that was wild. Look at where he takes off from.
Dude, that's like free throw line extended almost. But by the way, that
also remember how this play starts. Look where he is at the beginning of this play. Look where he is at the end of the play. Blocks the shot, comes around. This is absurd.
The refs in the Houston, Illinois second round game would have given him a technical on that.
And you can get to the middle of the floor and finish with that left hand.
7-2 Eagles early.
This is elite podcasting right now. Just watching Mr. Dean dunks.
Talking with Marty Richter, head coach. Oh, what a
slam! This is my view. By the way, this is just like his last 3 dunks. This isn't even like his best 3.
Yeah. Okay. I think we need to move on from the whole,
dunking. I have never seen Cohen Carr do a ball fake. I have never seen. You know why? Because even if he did, nobody would go up because he's not a threat to shoot the ball. He's not a threat to shoot the ball unless he's dunking.
If they want to say Cohen Carr is a better dunker than Cooper Flagg, or has a better dunk than Cooper Flagg this year, by all means, go for it. I'll take Cooper Flagg's skill set. Thank you very much.
I'll take Mr. Dean over. Look at this stuff.
Yeah, I mean
this is dirty.
It's a high major player. It's like on a really bad mid-major team. All right. Yeah.
All right, that's gonna do it for our show. No,
As I was saying, Duke done with Louisville, done with Pitt, done with SMU. Terms of ACC games, you go to Wake. A little worried about that one. You go to Clemson. Obviously, the 2 games with North Carolina.
by the way, if you're listening on the podcast, I apologize.
Yeah, no, you could skip. No point in telling it now, but you could have skipped that last 2 minutes. Yeah, I mean, this Duke team should probably win the ACC quite easily. They're projected right now to finish the regular season 28-3 and 19-1 in college.
Hold on. I just saw one of his I just saw another one of his dunks where he literally rocked it's the basket that comes down from the ceiling, and he took it offline.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's unreal.
All right. Any other SEC stuff? I wrote Rise and Shine about A&M.
Go.
Again, just want to say that you win a road game at Oklahoma without Wade Taylor. Dirk Phelps was a star. I think it's a much more complete team. They do things. They don't listen. Their weaknesses are still weaknesses, but they do their weaknesses way better than they have the last couple years. And I think that's what's making a difference. Not to mention that their defense is actually legit good this year. But they didn't play great defense the other night and still won in spite of it.
If you couldn't tell, I'm still watching Mr. Dean highlights right now. I'm watching the mix.
I think I know what your middle saying to end the show's going to be.
Yeah. I'm watching the mix that PDT made right now. It's absurd.
Dude, we can always take a break to watch PDT film.
PDT film? He's hooping?
Yeah. So A&M sweeps Red River. Talked about Miss State. Auburn still playing well. Texas gave them a little bit of a scare. It's going to happen, guys. Auburn's not going to be flawless. I still thought they played well. Let the game get out of hand a little bit, but it never really felt like they were going to lose the basketball game.
Yeah, because the closest it got was with 10 seconds left.
Right. All right. Big 12. Kansas back on track.
Yeah, ish. I still have concerns.
Florida?
I still have concerns about Kansas.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
I know that they're 9th in Ken Palm, and I know that they had a huge week. That UCF win, that was really impressive. What they did to UCF. But I think, and then how they just turned Arizona State's water off. But that was an Arizona State team that was basically playing 5 dudes. They didn't have probably their best shot creator in Josan Sanin, who has struggled a little bit recently, though, I will say. So I think for Kansas, the main thing is that Zeke Mayo is basically this team's everything right now.
They go where he goes.
That's not really okay. We kind of discussed this last week. I still have that concern about Kansas. And I will continue to have that concern about Kansas until we see Griffin, Storr, or one of those two start playing and scoring double digits consistently. And until we get to that point, I'm not going to be convinced this is a Final Four contender.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
I won't ever say that a Bill Self team is not going to make a second weekend until I see the bracket.
I will say that I think it's important for them that they are playing good defense with lineups that Hunter Dickinson's on the floor, because it's we talked with Jackson about this earlier in the year. Kansas has to do a lot of things defensively to cover up for his ball screen coverage.
He's protecting the rim better than he has at any point in the last couple of years.
So
it's the highest block rate of his career.
Right now, Kansas's best two lineups on the season in raw defensive efficiency both include Hunter Dickinson. That's lineups with at least 20 possessions, by the way. But yeah, it's encouraging stuff. Offensively, I still just won't be totally convinced on them until they can start really proving that they can play consistent basketball on the road against quality teams.
I agree.
And no, I do not. I know that they're in the tournament conversation right now.
They're not in the tournament conversation anymore.
I do not consider UCF a quality basketball team.
Not in the tournament conversation after that game.
Yeah, Kansas goes to Cincinnati tomorrow. I haven't figured out if Cincinnati's good yet, Sam. And what concerns me is the last team that I said
I'm not sure they are. I'm honestly, I don't think they are at the moment.
Like, I would lean towards no as well on that. The last team I said this season that I haven't figured out if they were good or not was SMU, like the day before they played Duke. So take that for what you will.
Kansas goes to Hilton on Wednesday.
Yeah, they'll probably lose.
Kansas has that. Ken Palmer has that as a 7-point spread, Jonathan. I would bet Iowa State wins that game by like 15.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any reason to trust Kansas right now on the road against a quality team. I don't think they've shown that in the last, I guess, almost a year now at this point.
Kind of moving on now to Iowa State, who is the best team in the Big 12. Or arguably the best team in the Big 12.
Yeah, I'd say Houston has a case.
Yeah, Houston does have a case, but Iowa State has the best resume. The best resume combined with metrics. Houston does not have a resume yet.
No.
Iowa State, just start to finish, dominant performance against Baylor.
You know, I think Iowa State is talked about a lot differently right now. If that game against Auburn is a win instead of a loss, it was a 2-point game.
Auburn, yeah, I mean they'd be 14-0.
Like they would be undefeated. They would have went on.
It depends on what they would do in the next 2 days in Maui, but like, depends what they would do the next 2 days in Maui.
I don't think that the quality of team that they would have played in Maui is that much different.
I do, considering it would have been
Colorado to
Colorado.
I guess Colorado to UNC is a pretty big difference, but like Dayton at the time was playing very good basketball.
And UNC at the time was honestly playing really good basketball.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought everyone was playing really good basketball.
This team pummeled Baylor. They pummeled Utah. Utah's a corpse, but I mean,
the only team that was playing bad basketball in Maui was UConn.
You know, Iowa State's an underdog tomorrow at Texas Tech. If Texas Tech, we talked about it last pod.
No, they're not.
Huh?
No, they're not. They're 7-7.
Not on KenPom. Like the actual spread has them as a dog.
That's dumb.
If Iowa State goes into United Supermarkets Arena, it's still called that, right?
I don't know why they call it that. They should just call it Texas Tech Arena.
I'll petition for Matt Mooney Arena. Yeah, if they go in and win,
petition for the Jarrett Culver Dome.
If they go in, yes. Although, is it a dome? I don't think.
I think it is.
If they go into Texas Tech and win tomorrow, like, no reason to believe that they aren't.
No, it's not.
That's a shame.
The Jarrett Culver Center, the Matt Mooney Court at the Jarrett Culver Center.
I can get behind that. I think if they go in tomorrow,
gotta find a way to have Keenan Evans in there too somehow. So.
If they go into Texas Tech tomorrow and win, I don't think that we have any choice but to say that the best 3 teams in college basketball right now are Auburn, Duke, and Iowa State.
Houston doesn't have a chance to prove it until January 25th at Allen Fieldhouse. So
and we talked about last pod how Texas Tech had quietly been playing well, and nobody had really said a word.
They won at BYU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then Arizona, they look really good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the quote that I was texting you about was kind of taken out of context, by the way, but it's just we said on this pod a couple weeks ago, I think, that Arizona would would figure it out. They'd find their way into the NCAA tournament, and they'd be a team you probably didn't want to see in your quad or in your region. I mean, at this point, like, this team's going to end up being like a 6 seed. They have UCF at home tomorrow. They're huge favorites. Baylor comes to town next Tuesday. I mean, this team's just playing way better. Getting those 2 road wins was exactly what they needed to kind of flip the script of their season.
Jonathan, I want to talk about the Big East.
Oh, do you?
I want to talk about my UConn Huskies and how they are bad. Like, bad when Liam McNeely.
Oh, like we're going without McNeely, right?
Yes. Without Liam McNeely, this is not a great basketball team.
No, I mean, listen, like, UConn does not play good defense. They just don't. And McNeely will help that. He won't fix it.
Yeah, but I am now.
But he will make their team better.
Look, McNeely came out of the game against DePaul, and that meant that UConn had to go smaller, and Connor Enright just started to, and Hassan Diarra got into foul trouble, and that meant you had to go to Mahaney, and Connor Enright just drove and almost brought DePaul back in that game. And part of that was McNeely wasn't there to kind of end runs. Alex Caravan did not play well against Providence for the first half. He figured it out in the second half. He did not play well at all against Villanova. UConn's last 5 halves of basketball. 1 good one. 4 not so good ones. That's kind of where we're standing right now with UConn. The fact of the matter is that Hassan Diarra was their best player against Providence. Jalen Stewart was their best player against Villanova. It's just not there. It's not UConn's year right now. I think UConn is going to be a dangerous team. I think they're still a second weekend Final Four contender. I think they could contend for a Final Four with Liam McNeely. Maybe if things really come around with the bigs and staying on the floor, maybe they can sneak into the national championship conversation again. But Jonathan, do you know who leads this team in usage rate?
Is it Taurus Reed?
It's Hassan Diarra.
That was going to be my second guess.
Reed is second, McNeely third.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like,
Alex Caravan and Solo Ball are this team's 2 best scorers that are on the floor right now.
Like, listen, this is what I can say.
They're play finishers.
UConn's not winning a title this year. We've established that. But if you go look at the last, like, 20 years, 25 years, let's say, of UConn basketball, their down years were way worse than this. And if these are going to be, if this is what missing on a couple transfers and and some players not developing the way you want to, if this is what that's going to look like, that's perfectly fine. If this is what that's going to look like, UConn's in great shape.
The program's in a great place.
We love their class coming in next year. We'll talk about it a ton.
Although I do think Ryby's a project.
Yeah, but like,
I think he can step on the floor immediately and make an impact, but I think he's a project.
Yeah, but Mullins
Taurus is going to be a Big East Player of the Year contender next year.
Yeah, Mullins is a stud. Reed will develop.
Oh, Mullins might be like a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
I think Mullins might be like a top 10 player in the class.
He's insane.
He's unreal. Everything I see of him is he just dropped 37 on 8 threes, and he had.
I was starting to right now. By the way, in the 2025 class, I have 49 players ranked. For those of you that don't know, my rankings work like this. If you're committed to a high major and I watch you, you're getting ranked. It doesn't matter if you're first, doesn't matter if you're last. If you are committed to a high major, you are relevant enough that you are getting ranked. I also will add mid-major players to my rankings. Most of the mid-major players that I watch that I like, I should say, will be filed under the underrated category and players to watch category. But if I really like you at a mid-major level, you'll get into my list. I have not watched Braylon Mullins yet. I was going to start making my way down some of the top guys that I have not watched yet. However, I decided to just watch a bunch of Valley kids last night instead.
You watch what did you say here? Who was Sadiq White?
Oh, Christian Collins, I think is his name. He's a junior. He's a 2026.
All right. Where are we on Villanova? Big win against UConn last night. Wooga Poplar looks awesome. Eric Dixon might be the third best player in the country after Flag and Janai.
It feels like too good to be true, right?
What?
Like that they're playing well.
They're a sick offensive team.
Yeah, no denying that.
They don't guard shit.
No. Listen.
Their defense has actually gone up like 20 spots in the last 2 weeks.
The way they play defense, winning like this sort of seems unsustainable.
Yeah, their defense has gone up 30 spots in the last 3 games.
Yeah, that UConn win's going to help a lot, obviously. Some of those losses earlier in the year are still going to hang over their head.
Mm-hmm.
And, I said it a couple weeks ago. They need to win big road games. In my mind, I don't think they've won a big road game in conference play yet.
Oh, but you mean 0-5 Butler is not a big game?
I don't. I believe that they need to get one of these.
Broke Butler. Butler was 7-1. Now they're 7-9.
You get St. John's tomorrow. You get Xavier next Tuesday. You have to get one of those.
Yep, I agree. I don't really have anything else to say on the Big East.
No, Marquette keeps rolling. Georgetown, I still think is good.
I think the one thing that I really want to hit on in the Big Ten, because we've talked Rutgers all year. We don't need to get into that. We've talked Maryland all year. We've talked Michigan and Michigan State. We've talked Indiana. The one thing I really want to talk about right now is UCLA. Because they just lost again tonight.
Do you want to talk about the basketball product or the press conference product?
I would like to talk about the press conference product, Jonathan.
I think that's the more interesting angle, to be frank.
Because the basketball, it's like, yeah, I mean, when Sky Clark's your starting
it is what it is. Like, to be perfectly blunt about...
there's not a ton wrong. Like, they've just hit a couple of rough patches. The Big Ten is really tough. They played Michigan, they played Nebraska on the road, Michigan at home, and Maryland on the road. That's 3 top 35 teams.
Like, to be perfectly blunt, like you're gonna lose games when you just don't hit that many shots.
How does anyone actually want to play for Mick Cronin? Do you guys do you have the clip loaded up?
I don't, but I mean, you want me to pull up the quote?
I can find the clip of it.
So soft and delusional were words used. I can tell you that. Like, if your guys like a Damara and Dylan Andrews and Sebastian Mack, who went through that last year, how do you stick around?
So don't tell me you want to win. Just don't tell me you want to win. So don't tell me you want to win. It's crazy, and it's every day. I'm tired of it. It's every day. I have the most energy of anybody at practice every day. I'm upset with everybody in that locker room, my assistant coaches and my players. I mean, I don't need to do anything else. I almost got 500 wins. I'm only 53. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. But yet I come in and I have more passion and energy and pride than everybody in. That's the problem. So what the truth of it is, Ben, it's really hard to coach people that are delusional. The hungry dog gets the bone. We got guys that think they're way better than they are. They're nice kids. They're completely delusional about who they are. But we don't play. We're
And then this happened today.
By the Bruins, but then lost to Maryland again. That's a technical. He threw him out. Jeff Anderson just threw out the coach. Mick had had enough. I think it's one of those that over time.
And then he said this. I wanted out. I'd had enough to send a message. I'm tired of it. I have to defend my players, and if you can just mug guys and chop their arms off, throw them out of the way, it's hard to run any offense.
So, like,
Mick Cronin is not enjoying the Big Ten.
I mean, the theory last year was thrown out about how LA was not a culture fit for him.
It's not.
You're right. It's just not. Like, you cannot act like that in.
Here's the thing. I'm going to be honest. Nobody in LA gives a shit anyway.
Also, you can't. I don't even like. We can say he's not a culture fit for UCLA. You can't act like that anywhere.
No.
And it's like
he's whining about his players. He's whining.
Like, you recruited these guys. Like, if you have such a problem, like, with the guys that in your culture, like, why did you take them in the first place? And
all right, Jonathan. Anything else you want to hit on?
I had one other thing to say about UCLA. Really weird to call a team that's top 5 in the country defensively soft. Like, really weird.
Trying to send a message, Jonathan. She's trying to send a message. You got anything else on anybody?
Dayton's in complete free fall.
We'll discuss Dayton more next week when I'm not as tired.
I want to shout out Vermont, who won at UMass Lowell last night.
Culture win.
Just when you count them out, man. Just when you count them out.
Culture win.
And then
Patriot League. The Patriot League has not had a road team win a game.
Is that for real?
15 for 15 in home games.
That's insane. That is just insane. And then,
every team is either 2-1 or 1-2.
Drake would have a 2-game lead in the Missouri Valley, but they lost at home. Or sorry, Bradley would have a 2-game lead in the Missouri Valley, but they lost at home to Drake after Sam Fetterman pronounced Drake a corpse in the first half against Bradley. But yeah, no, I mean, Drake, like, I can't say it enough.
They're poised.
I don't even fully understand it myself because of how good the Valley has been in
Hi,
the
Tanner.
last of seasons. Go Cats, yeah. I don't even fully understand it myself about how competitive the Valley has been because I have started following the league and I have been spoiled. Drake has had elite teams. Loyola had a team that would have had an at-large bid.
Indiana State
nearly won the NIT last year, and most years that team gets an at-large bid with their resume. So I don't even fully I say that this league is competitive and anyone can get anyone, but I don't even think when I'm saying that I fully understand yet what that means. And I think this season in the conference is finally starting to show that.
I wish we could talk a lot more, but I'm exhausted.
I do. I do have one more thing to say before you take us home.
Go ahead.
It is it is now 12:06 Central Time, 1:06 on the East Coast, and which means it is January 11th where I am. Sam, January 11th is very special. Do you know why?
Am I supposed to?
Wouldn't expect you to. It is Benjamin Piquet's birthday as of 6 minutes ago.
Oh God.
As well as his siblings, Shayna and Alex. So happy birthday to the Piquets. I told Ben, I was with him earlier tonight. I told him, you should stay up tonight till midnight and start your birthday with brackets, bubbles, and mid-stealers. I can't confirm if he did or not. Ben is he's an early sleeper, so I'm sure he got to bed. But regardless, happy birthday, Ben Piquet. Happy birthday, Alec Piquet. Happy birthday, Shayna Piquet.
If you came to hear about Ben Piquet, you came apparently.
Great Twitter follow, who is public again. So if you guys want a good laugh, go follow Ben Piquet's Twitter.
Vouch for that. Anyway, I wish we could get into more stuff, but I'm exhausted. I've got an article to write tomorrow morning, shit to pack up because I'm going back to school on Sunday, and a 3-hour car ride up to Boston for Jonathan.
3-hour car ride to Boston? Boston College.
That's your cue.
What do you use with my cue? Oh! Oh. Sam, any thoughts on Syracuse?
No.
Hey, they got a win earlier this week.
You've got to just throw that into the middle of the show at some point.
I think it's better when we do it randomly.
Yes.
I was going to do it earlier, but when we were talking about Duke, and then I'm like, I'll save it for the end of the show. And then I forgot. So, note to self, random spots throughout the show. I just got to do it in like the most random spots. Like it would have been great when we were watching the Mr. Dean dunks.
If you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about Mr. Dean, the best dunker in college basketball, you came to the right place. And if you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. Season 5, episode 49 of Brackets, Wolves, and Bitch Steelers. We'll see you on Monday with an interview with Milwaukee head coach Bart Lundy.